welcome to the last video. So far, you've got permission to write badly, and you've got to process the down, up, and dental draft, but there is one more obstacle, and it's the sneakiest, the inner critic. That voice that says, this isn't good enough, I'm not good enough, before you've even finished a sentence. Lamott names it, and she gives us a way to handle it. So let's warm up with one thing to notice. When you sit down to write, what does your inner critic say to you? You don't have to share it with me or with anyone. Just notice if it's there. Almost everyone has one, even Lamont, definitely me. Mine can be pretty nasty. Okay, so let's read. What I've learned to do when I sit down to work on a shitty first draft is to quiet the voices in my head. First, there's the vinegar-lipped reader lady who says primly, well, that's not very interesting, is it? And there's the emaciated German male who writes these Orwellian memos detailing your thought crimes. And there are your parents agonizing over your lack of loyalty and discretion. And there's William Burroughs dozing off or shooting up because he finds you as bold and articulate as a houseplant, and so on. And there are also the dogs. Let's not forget the dogs. The dogs in their pen who will surely hurtle and snarl their way out if you ever stop writing, because writing is, for some of us, the latch that keeps the door of the pen closed, keeps those crazy, ravenous dogs contained. Quieting these voices is at least half the battle I fight daily. But this is better than it used to be. It used to be 87%. Left to its own devices, my mind spends much of its time having conversations with people who aren't there. I walk along defending myself to people, or exchanging repartee with them, or rationalizing my behavior, or seducing them with gossip, or pretending I'm on their TV talk show or whatever. I speed or run an aging yellow light or don't come to a full stop, and 1 nanosecond later, am explaining to imaginary cops exactly why I had to do what I did, or insisting that I did not, in fact, do it. Okay, so look at what Anne is doing here in Lamont. She's giving her inner critic or inner critics voices and characters. So we've got this prim reader lady here who um, is her first character. We've got this German male. And by the way, if this term Orwellian is new to you, this is referring to a book that some of you may have read in high school, 1984, by an author, George Orwell. And it's about a surveillance society. So that's what she's saying about thought crimes. Um, and then we have your parents and William Burroughs, who is another famous writer. And finally, we have the dogs. So Anne Lamott, of course, is not telling us that she's hearing literal voices. She's talking about something that we all feel, this chatter of self-doubt. She's making it not just concrete, but also ridiculous. And that's the important move. When you name this inner critic and you make it a bit silly and you realize, like she does, that, you're always just having these conversations in your head with people who aren't even there, imagining a situation, you take the power away from these critical voices. Okay, I happened to mention this to a hypnotist I saw many years ago, and he looked at me very nicely. At first, I thought he was feeling around on the floor for the silent alarm button, but then he gave me the following exercise, which I still use to this day. Close your eyes and get quiet for a minute until all the chatter starts up. Then isolate one of the voices and imagine the person speaking as a mouse. Pick it up by the tail and drop it into a mason jar. Then isolate another voice. Pick it up by the tail, drop it in the jar, and so on. Drop in any high maintenance parental units, drop in any contractors, lawyers, colleagues, children, anyone who is whining in your head. Then put the lid on and watch all these mouse people clawing at the glass, jabbering away, trying to make you feel like shit because you won't do what they say. Won't give them more money, won't be more successful, won't see them more often. Then imagine there's a volume control button on the bottle. Turn it all the way up for a minute and listen to the stream of angry, neglected, guilt-mongering voices. Then turn it all the way down and watch the frantic mice lunge at the glass, trying to get to you. Leave it down and get back to your shitty first draft. A writer friend of mine suggests opening the jar and shooting them all in the head, but I think he's a little angry, and I'm sure nothing like this would ever occur to you. Okay, so here's her technique that a hypnotist gave to her. Um, a little over the top, but pretty fun. First is imagining these voices as a mouse, each one as a mouse, picking it up, putting it in a jar, putting the lid on. But this is the important part, that after you've bottled them all up, you turn the volume down on the voices and you get back to work. So the mice aren't the point here. The idea is that you can acknowledge these critical inner voices and you still have the power to turn the volume down instead of doing what they say. So everyone has these voices. They don't mean your writing is bad, and you can turn them down and keep going. And that is a skill that you build, not something that you are just born with. So we'll practice that this quarter. Now let's put all these three parts together and talk about what we've got. So 1, you have permission to write badly. 2, you've got a process, downdraft, updraft, dental draft. And now you have a way to quiet that inner critic. Use your own volume control. And that's everything you need to begin. So your first assignment is low stakes on purpose, 100 words or more, introducing yourself as a writer, thinking about how writing will be important to you in the future. And we want to hear it in your own voice, how you really sound. So no AI, no Grammarly, and mistakes are genuinely welcome. You're not being graded on your grammar, spelling. You're not being judged at all, frankly. We're just getting started here. So this week, think of it as your downdraft. We'll fix your writing up as the quarter goes. And that's all for today. When you're ready, you can open up your first assignment and get something, anything down on the page. That's really the whole job this week. I'll see you in class. Thanks, everyone.